talking to Brian Robinson. You were the first British winner of a Tour de France stage. Now, when I talk to my folks who are in about the same age as yourself, their memories do struggle back to those days. How is your memory of that day when you won that Tour de France stage?
Well, it was pre-planned in actual fact, because I'd been eliminated because of I had a problem with my intestines and didn't sleep all night. Sat on the you know what for a night, and the following day I started, but absolutely on the floor really, and I was because I was in the first 10 in the race. They couldn't eliminate me, so I was repeshed, if you like, back in. But the guy who stayed with me, Shea Elliott from Ireland, obviously got eliminated because he didn't have that protection. So I said to him when he was packing his bags to go home, I said, well, we'll get something out of this if it's only a stage win, you know, which is all we could expect for her, really, being a very small team. And so it was planned from that day, and it was planned for the last day out of the mountains, when I thought, and the day following that would be the time trial, so everybody would want to be taking it fairly steady. So the day before the time trial, I got my time trial bike out. Like there wasn't much difference really, but the wheels were light. It was the lightest possibly I could get, and light tyres, of course. And at the start line, one of my San Rafael teammates, who I rode with most of the year, came along and said, "Look, I'm third in the King of the Mountains points system. Will you lead me out on the last climb of the tour?" I said, "Yeah, willingly, but let me go as soon as we go over the line." And so that's what happened. I led him out, took him up the mountain, got him over the line, and then I went bang on the top of the mountain. And a guy called Jean Dotto, who was also a good climber actually, shouted, "Wait for me, wait for me." Because, I mean, in those days, we were all friends and we knew each other like the back of our hands, you know. So I thought, "No, John, you can't go downhill, and it's important that we go down pretty fast." So I didn't wait for him. And at the minute, after coming down the hill, a gravelly, rough hill on very light tyres, I was praying all the way down. I had a minute at the bottom, and I thought, "Oh, that's a good minute, out of sight, out of mind." And I had a lot of friends in the peloton because I'd been riding a fair while, you know. At least, well, they might not have been friends, but they weren't enemies. Let's put it that way.
They weren't going to destroy your day.
No, they weren't. No, they wanted a quiet day, really, and so everything worked in my favour, and they didn't see me for a long time after that.
And winning a Tour de France stage, I mean, riders now, if they win a Tour de France stage, their season is made. Was it similar back then?
Yes, it was, but there wasn't the million as well. I think it was 300 quid for a stage ring, which was quite good money, but when you shared it between 7 or 8, it didn't count for much really. But I mean, we rode for prize money in those days. You could just exist on what the company paid you, but it was only a normal existence, you know. So if you wanted to do better, you had to win money. So that's how it worked in those days.
You've still got a cycling connection. It's Louise?
Well, yes, you got Louise, she's retired now, of course, like me. And she's
retired. She's come back. She's retired.
Well, that's right. She's still riding a bike, of course. And then we've got young Jake, of course, which is part of this team, which you know, it's great, really. 4th generation. It's pretty good.
And do you still follow the Tour de France? Do you still watch these races on TV?
I watch them on TV. Yes, yeah. Well,
what are your thoughts on the tour nowadays?
Well, I don't like this radio business. I think riders should make up their own mind, which we did, and you had no contact with your director of sport. You did have contact, because if some of the team punctured, he'd come up to the bunch, and each driver would have his special own tune, if you like.
Yeah.
And when you heard your tune come up, you went right to the front to get out of the way, so he wouldn't call you back for the punctures. So there's all sorts of little things like that which became normal, really. But I think in those days there was more sporting attitude, really. I mean, we all rode the same events. There wasn't events here, there and everywhere. We all followed the same programme, really. So every weekend you met up with your competitors, if you like. So, I mean, you might travel down on the train with them, and you'd play cards, and you'd like young guys do.
Yeah.
But once again gun went off, of course, you were back on form with your team.
What were the big races back then? Because when I grew up, Kent Wevelgem, Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, Tour de France, they were still the big races in the 70s,
yes,
as they are now.
Yeah. Well, yes, they've always been big races, really, right from 1903, was it? Something like that, yeah.
They've been around a while,
They've been around a while. Milan San Remo, Nice, a lot of these races have disappeared, really, but Milan San Remo is still there, of course. That's one of the Italian classics. Which suited me fine because it was up and down, Belgium didn't suit me because I was light, and you bounced about on the cobbles, so I think I was 10th in Paris-Roubaix once, but I never enjoyed it. And yet the one round the Spa area, which is very much like our country, I was Fleche Wallone, and I think I was 4th one year in that. So
were you a bit of a climber?
Yes.
That was your...
Well, I was champion hill climber once, as an amateur, of course.
Yes, I remember seeing
In
that.
fact, I'm still not far off the record on home moss now today. They haven't beaten it since my day. There were two of us, Ronnie Stringwell, who was a member of Bramley, and he was a specialist hill climber. And me used to vie for the win, if you like, and I won one year and he won the next with the record 2 seconds better than mine. So between us we have the record of Paul Moss, which is strange. It's so long ago. Well, it is, but it's much better. It's changed the start. It's changed a little bit, and the finish has changed a little bit, but it's still the basic climate. I mean, we've got better bikes, we've got better roads, and so it's quite strange.
I mean, I see
29 pounds. I can't translate that into kilos. That's a Tour of France bike. That's how we rode the Tour of France on 29. And then, of course, you had water bottles. And,
even more. And what was it? Were the professionals full-time cyclists back then?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. The top grade were full time. Yes. One or two sort of, if the lesser runs had, they had family businesses which they did 2 or 3 days a week and then rode the bikes, to try and make it.
And there was less racing during the week then, or?
Well, you could go to Belgium and there'd be a couple of races in Belgium if you fancied that, but no, there was not much racing until you got to the stage race, which started with the Tour of Sud-Est, and I think it would be May or sometime like that, and then you got Sud-Est, you got Dauphine, and then you got the Tour of France or Tour of Italy, whichever you wanted.
I guess the Tour of Italy and Tour of Spain, Tour de France has always been in that particular position in the calendar.
Yeah.
But those two races, they've swapped around.
That's right.
You rode those races as well?
Yes, I had an 8th in the Tour of Spain and Tour of Switzerland, 8th again. Yes, and that was as a member of a continental team, of course. There weren't enough British riders to form a team in those days. I mean, we did form a team for the Tour, but only 2 of us finished.
Because they had national teams back then, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
And what about the racing nowadays domestically? Like, is that a lot different to before you went into Europe?
I don't think it is really. I mean, we've still got the same roads. Obviously, the policing's much better, and the conditions of the race are much better. Yeah. But you still have to ride your bike.
You still have to pedal it.
You still have to pedal your bike. Yeah.
So you're going to be following Jake quite closely during his season with Holdsworth?
Well, yes, yeah. Like granddads do, they support the grandkids.
And does he sit there and listen to the stories?
Not so much. No, they make their own stories now. My stories are so old-fashioned. It's unbelievable, really.
But tactics are tactics, aren't they?
Well, they are. Yes, yeah.
They're probably a lot more
It's
different.
quite difficult to explain tactics because it's like watching a film, isn't it? You see the race unfolding and you reciprocate as you need to, really. So you can only put yourself in set situations, if you like, and all those are being covered, really. So it's instinct, and if you've got that mental instinct and the killer instinct to go with it, you have to be a little bit selfish, I'm afraid, to be a good bike rider, because you have to think.
You have to have Chris Borman once said to me, you have to have a little bit of an unhealthy attitude.
Yes, yeah. To be focused on yourself a lot, really, which when you retire you can give all that up, of course. At the time that you're racing, you've got to be on it, all the time. It's the only thing you think about.
Now, I guess finally, the race that you're looking forward to seeing would be the Tour of Yorkshire.
That's true, yes, yeah. Fortunately, they take me around and follow it and go before it. So, yeah, they look after me quite well in the Tour of Yorkshire.
Yeah. Lovely to see the crowds out.
Oh, last year was fantastic, really. I think we probably had more than the Tour of France, in actual fact, because the weather was so beautiful. I mean, unbelievable, really.
You'd love to have had that in your day?
Oh, yeah, certainly would. Yeah, I mean, the way it's come on in my career, really, it's fantastic. The difference, and I mean, in my day, there was no jobs for people mixed up with bikes in this country. I mean, I came home, like I say, on the Saturday, and went back to work at my old job on the Monday. There was no sort of.
Was that pension?
Oh no, no pension, no. And there was no possibility of getting a job within cycling, really. So I was well grounded in the building trade, and it did well for me afterwards. So no complaints.
And you're still in the cycling now, though?
Well, I still keep involved because I think sadly I've just had to give up riding. But,
you haven't got the electric bike? I think we've spoken.
Yeah, I've still got the electric bike, and I still go out on my own a little bit, but it's not fair to other guys to go with me, really, because I'm not fit for purpose, to be honest. But I still insist.
You still enjoy
if it's a nice day, yeah.
Thank you very much, Brian.
You're welcome.